from Tobacco Republic in Loomis, California, the Loomis Cigar Cartel presents Beyond the Humidor, a cigar podcast for the rest of us. Hey there, everybody. Scott Robinson with you on Beyond the Humidor, our 41st or 41, episode 41, whatever the case may be. For some strange reason, I can't talk this morning. So I'm just going to hand it off to you guys to see how you guys are doing. I don't know if it's the heat or what, but for some reason, I have done it right 40 times prior, and somehow it feels like, I don't know.
Didn't stop you at breakfast.
Yeah, that's true. But
the heat will do it, man. This has been, it has been exceptionally hot in our area, to the point that I don't think either one of you guys have been up to the house since we did the remodel, the paint and everything.
Yeah.
We got a new front door, and along with that, new hardware for the front door, which is that antiqued kind of steel look.
Oh, yeah.
Hot.
Yeah. Bitchin' idea on a west-facing house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So bad that my wife put a pot holder out in the entry so you can open the door. True story, man.
I believe it.
Oh, man.
It scorched the hell out of you with that doorknob.
For you guys who don't know it, we're out in Northern California. The forecast today is going to be 112.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure the folks in Arizona and Nevada are sitting there going, well, hold my beer. I think Nevada, Las Vegas specifically, was up to about 114 yesterday.
Well, Phoenix is forecast for 120, so.
Ooh, that's when you just move slow.
You don't go outside.
Nah. Yeah, I was in Bullhead City, Bullhead City, Arizona, right on the river, and it was about 118 or something ridiculous like that, and you could tell when you went outside, everyone moved like snails. Mm-hmm. It was just like you just move slow. You got that heat bouncing off of the asphalt, and it's just like, geez, it's not fun.
No, but, and it never used, I can't remember heat stretches this bad, this frequent. It's a weird year. It's just drier than normal.
Global warming.
I wasn't going to say that.
Thanks, Captain Planet.
The power is yours.
But umpum.
So before we get too far into it, okay, last week, if you guys were paying attention, last week, if you watched last week's episode, we had Pat Nelson on and talked about barbecue. Well, I found this really great gift, and when I saw it, I started laughing, and so I bought Scott a present as the cape-wearing host of the show. Would you kindly pass that over to him? God. Forgive me for not gift wrapping it, but
that's okay. I understand. Hey, if I didn't have a wife, I wouldn't gift wrap a lot of shit either.
So let's take a look and see what Scott thinks of this one.
You son of a bitch. Okay.
The camera needs to see this.
Yes.
You want me to hold one side?
Yes. We'll hold it like a flag.
Oh, I love that. We're making stickers of that.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
Dude, you're a genius. Okay.
I saw that, and I fell out laughing, and I'm like, oh, yeah, Scott needs that.
Oh, yeah, you're getting the Bridgerton box set for Christmas.
There we go.
I expect to see you wearing that in here at least once.
So it's odd that it turned into gift day this week, because that wasn't anything that any of us had planned, I don't think.
No, it wasn't.
We're kind of all on the same page, though, that if we see something that we know fits one of us, we typically just get it. Mm-hmm. So, it kind of works out. So,
well, speaking of which, you and your wife, you guys went on a trip last weekend, and you got us, and I had to show this off because this is awesome. It is a camp RV kitchen knife that you can use in your RV or for camping, for cutting up stuff. You said you cut ribs up with it.
Yeah, we trimmed down some ribs with mine already.
Yeah, man, this is terrific. So, yes.
It's one of those, I saw it online, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, price point's all right. I read the reviews. I'm like, okay, if it's half as good as it says it is, we should be okay for a camp knife.
Yeah.
And then we got them, and I was like, wow, this thing's pretty cool. So
Nice.
yeah, it worked out.
Yes, thank you. And I might as well, since, gift giving thing, and you had this little thing you got, Reno, so hold on here.
Yeah, once again, when you see something, I'm in the process of checking out at a cigar shop that we stopped at in Redding, California, on our way to the coast last weekend in Eureka. And my wife yells out, "Have you paid yet? Wait, I found something." And she comes over with Scott's using his new knife. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
Cutting away from me because I don't want blood on the air.
Yeah, and by the way, I had nothing to do with that wrap job, in case you weren't already aware. But she comes over to the check stand with this thing, and she goes, "We have to get this for Reno." So here we are. It is a cigar. If I hold that up to the camera.
I'm just gonna
Hang on a minute. There we go.
It is a cigar chew toy. So
What brand is it, Scott?
Stogie Fetch Stick.
there we go.
A fine brand.
And
So-
it's Cuban.
So we pay for this thing,
It's
right?
awesome.
We get back in the truck. I'm lighting my cigar. We're pulling out of the driveway of this place, and my wife looks over at me and she goes, "Oh no." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I just bought a chew toy for a dog that don't have any teeth." I'm all, "Well, it's a gum toy now, sweetie." So there you go. There's my life in a nutshell, buddy.
That's good. You know what? When I'm looking at it, it's like, awesome gift. Thank you, and Sherry. But it didn't even occur to me when I'm looking at it going, my dog doesn't have teeth. He can't chew on anything.
Hey, man, you get one of them little metal hooks. It's now a Christmas tree decoration.
There you
You're
go.
welcome. There you multi-purpose.
Man, you're full of ideas
Hey,
today.
man, yeah, I'm an idea guy.
I love it.
So along with ideas, I get tagged in a post yesterday from a friend of mine that still lives in the town we grew up in. And due to a bunch of building and a bunch of stuff going on, they are tearing down an icon in the town that I grew up, a place called the Country Store. It was out on El Camino Real in Carlsbad. My buddy Kevin used to work there.
All right.
So he throws up a post on Facebook yesterday afternoon saying that the Carlsbad Fire Department is going to burn down the Country Store for like one of these training burn things, right?
Yeah.
He goes, "I need 4 or 5 local guys. We're getting the chicken off the roof." The Country Store has like a 6, 7 foot, 8 foot, I don't know. When you're a kid, it looks like it's 14 feet, right?
Of course.
Chicken statue on the roof of this thing. And I'm like, dude, you couldn't put up more notice than this? I'm all about committing a felony, but, it's grand theft. But, you got to give a guy some warning. I'm 8.5 hour drive. I will commit your felony with you, but, I got to have a little more time to prepare. So, needless to say, I wasn't on my way to San Diego this morning to steal a chicken. Sorry, Kev.
You just kind of snitched. Oops. He named names, locations.
Time frame.
You wouldn't have done well in the mob, Sammy.
You also don't know these guys. If there's any chance any of these people, including myself, were to be able to get up a ladder, unbolt a chicken that's 7 feet high and carry that thing off a roof, I would worry. But, much like Greg joining the NBA, I think there's no chance.
That's
Just
true.
saying.
So 3 friends trying to unscrew a chicken sounds like a Three Stooges episode.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it would be. Mm-hmm. Because I'm aware of some of the people that would be involved, and we would have, we wouldn't accomplish that any better than some of the crazy stuff we tried to do when we were younger. So it is what it is.
All right. Well, on that note.
So, Scott, we enter the month of July.
Yes.
And unfortunately, today decided to record this podcast on the surface of the sun. So maybe we should give our solar cigar of the month this month.
Well, let's talk about it. So for this one, sorry, Larry, this is box pressed.
That's all right. You know what? The 2012s, I'm okay with. Everybody knows if you've listened to these podcasts, I am not a big box press cigar guy. However, Oscar makes an excellent line of box presses. All of his 2012s are just great cigars, and this is no exception. Our cigar of the month this month is the 2012 Candela.
Yes.
And I'm smoking one right now, and it is a great stick.
As a matter of fact, you were the one who turned us on to it when they came into the shop.
Yep. Him and Bob.
Yeah. And, I like barber poles, and I gave this one a shot. And the combination of the Maduro and Candela leaf, burning that simultaneously, gives you a real rich flavor. The Candela itself is a mild flavor, of course. And, Greg, not quite his favorite. It's like hints of grass for him. But
Well, now, the Barber Pole, though, that cigar I like a lot. A straight Candela like I'm smoking now, it's not my favorite, but,
Yeah, we'll talk about the cigar you and I are smoking too. But as far as the 12, and I've had several of them, the 2012.
Hey, gesture to the box. It's in front of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Nice Vanna White there.
yeah. If you wanted to get up and do that. But that's more home shopping network.
Let me pull the wide shot if you're going to do that so I catch Larry's and my face as you do that.
It's a tough crowd, ladies and
Yeah, I
gentlemen.
left my evening gown at home, so that shit's not going to happen.
But, that one came out, I believe it was 2019 at IPCPR. Mm-hmm. It was an immediate hit when it came into this lounge, and it's become one of the favorites for most people in here. I mean, they go through a considerably large amount of boxes every month.
That's very true.
And the difference on this one and some of the other barber pole stuff that you see out there that are wrapping with Maduro, this wrapper is a San Andreas Mexican Maduro, so you're going to get a little bit different flavor if you haven't had something with that type of wrapper. Now, the binder is still Nicaraguan and the filler's Honduran and Nicaraguan, but that San Andreas is just a little... The hell are you guys doing?
No.
Nothing. Continue.
Yeah, please.
That San Andreas is just a little bit different flavor, especially mixed with a Candela. So even if you're not a Maduro person, you've never tried a Candela, this would be a good just one-off starting point for you for sure.
I think I have to agree with you because it depends. Candela, I know we're probably jumping into our topic a little bit more, but the Candela was a fairly popular cigar when cigars first came into the United States. But nowadays, it's almost unknown. There are a few people that like it, and they do sell, but you get your Connecticut broadleaf is now your typical light cigar.
That was something that happened during the 80s, and we'll get into that when we talk about Candelas. I want to touch upon a little more on the 2012 and also the Arturo Fuente 858 anniversary that you and I are smoking right now.
I'm going to let you talk because I don't know anything about this cigar.
Well, this one I came across yesterday. I was looking for different Candelas to smoke for the podcast today. One of my favorites, by the way, is the Illusion 88 in Candela. Sensational smoke. Dion, I can't say enough good things about Illusion, and the 88, Maduro as is great, but the Candela is sensational. So this one I came across is the Arturo Fuente 858 anniversary. It is a 6x47. You get the metalness of the Candela. You get sensational Dominican binder and filler along with the Candela leaf. And it's a very smooth smoke. Now, different Candelas have different tastes. You would think, a Candela is a Candela, it's grass or whatever, but somehow a lot of the cigar manufacturers who are hand rolling these Candelas, they are getting just different taste out of them. And this is no exception. For instance, the 2012 integrating with the San Andreas Maduro, Mexican San Andreas Maduro brings out a unique taste. This Candela brings out another unique taste. Now, when I smoke this, I'm not getting grass.
No,
what about you?
It's almost more of a green tea than, fresh cut grass is very stout, very floral. This does not have that. It's very smooth, it's creamy, and it's almost like green tea is what I think I get out of it, because it's this one you guys have not heard this, but these guys have when we were talking about this show. I detest Candelas. I don't like the flavor. It's like green tea ice cream. I just don't like it. It doesn't work for me. But, when Scott said, hey, let's do a Candela show, I'm like, why not? Let's at least try it, because there are now 3 Candelas that I enjoy. The 88, well, anything in Dion's lines and Illusion, the Candelas. Those are all good flavors. They're nice and sweet. This Fuente is very good, and that Barber Pole that Larry's got, it can't be beat at all. It's a great stick. So, my opinion changes a little bit. I still don't care for it on a regular basis, but, if it's properly flavored, it's not a bad cigar, especially in the light category.
Now, are you getting a sweetness off of the Fuente? Because I'm definitely not getting a sweetness, not necessarily a bad thing. It's more of a toast. I mean, if that makes any sense. I mean, when we talk about cigar taste and flavors, you're going to go to what you're familiar with. Now, funny aside on this, when I was doing the research for the episode, I came across a review of a Candela, and someone
I figured you'd bring this up.
personified the Candela that they were smoking in particular. And I don't want to say the name because I don't want to give a negative connotation to the cigar, because the taste profile didn't make sense. But they said it was rotten earth. And I just think, what in the hell is rotting earth? Were you a kid who got bullied and people shoved dirt in your mouth? Or you were a paste eater in kindergarten and you had a little dirt on the side with your glue? But it's taste that you are familiar with. So, and we've said this a million times, when you read cigar reviews, sometimes you got to take them with a little grain of salt, because that person's taste is not necessarily your taste.
Yes.
Well, and a lot of times they're writing that stuff for effect. They want to get, they want to get you thinking, so they're going to motivate that by, something innocuous. Let's throw this. It's dramatic. We're gonna.
I don't even think it's dramatic. Like I say, I think it's just relative to your flavor profile. So, what you like to eat, what you like to taste, and the smoke brings out this memory of something.
Well, I guess, but we're getting overboard on all this, flavor profiles and that's my point, is that the whole thing about flavor profiles, they're all relative. So when you read a review, don't go by someone telling, even when I say it, take it with a grain of salt when I say it's toast, for lack of a better word, because you're tasting something and you're trying to put a characterization on it. If Greg smokes something, he's going to come up with a characterization that he's familiar with.
Yes.
Larry, same thing. So when you read reviews and, if this is your reason to try a cigar, don't let it be a reason not to try it.
Ever.
Let me say that.
Because there have been some that, I read the reviews, because I do read a particular famous magazine in this industry. And I've read the reviews, and you read the review and it's a turnoff. I'm like, no, not a chance. But I still try this cigar anyway, because, as you said, one person's smoke and one person's experience is not going to be the same as everybody else's. Well, it never is.
And it may be different from cigar to cigar.
That's true.
They could write the review after smoking one, but after they smoke 3 or 4 of them over a course of a little bit of time, that could be an entirely different review.
Well, yeah.
And it's... everything's subject to that now, and
yeah.
I go back to, apparently my palate is simple, much like, many other aspects of my life. And, well, what are you getting off of that cigar, sir?
Cigar.
Basically tobacco. I mean, I'm apparently refined enough, because I've been smoking so long, that, I can break down the differences between a Connecticut and a Maduro. But past that, I don't get a lot of, earthy, coconut, whatever. We had that over the weekend with beers. Craft beer is the same thing, man.
Yeah.
They're getting so ridiculous. We stop at this brewery, and the girl behind the counters explaining this oatmeal chocolate wheat stout, with it's finished off with apricot pit and we bring a yogi in to bless the barrel before, during the fermentation process. And I'm looking at this girl and I'm like, sweetie, you realize I could have drank 2 beers in the time that it took you to explain this beer to me?
What kind of wavy gravy brewery
Dude, we were on the north.
to?
We were on the North Coast, man.
That explains it.
You see some different stuff, but everybody, I mean, it's everything now. When did Coca-Cola decide it was necessary to have 37 flavors of Coca-Cola? With a possible exception of vanilla Coke, because every now and then a vanilla Coke not so bad. Coca-Cola. Here's a marketing tip for you. Either put the cocaine back in it or leave it the hell alone. That's the only 2 options for you at this point.
Thank you.
It's too much, man. What kind of beer would you like, sir? I'd like one that's cold. And preferably doesn't taste like a cat turd. I mean, other than that...
I'm just curious, have you had experience on what a cat turd tastes like?
I'll tell you what, man. Once again, you're subject to, what you're feeling and thinking at the time. I've had a couple of rough tasting beers, and usually it, follows the explanation of it was finished with, apricot pit and there was a yogi that, no, I want a beer. So same with cigars. I want a cigar.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I rant.
No worries.
That's okay. At least it was you this time, not Scott.
Wow, that's jacked up.
Yeah, apparently it's my turn.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think Greg was like, "Yeah, I'll get to you guys before you get to me." Yeah, really.
Sprayed the whole room. There we go.
Well, since we're talking about Candelas, let's talk a little bit more about them. A little bit about the history of the Candela cigar. Of course, it originated. Of course, yeah, like some people know this, some people don't. So forgive me if I sounded like a jackass. But the Candela leaf originated out of Cuba in the 40s, and it was real popular in the U.S. because maybe the American palate wasn't ready for the really rich, dark Maduros and such. So they got real popular in the U.S., and I believe they were called American Market Select cigars. And they were really big. In fact, JFK smoked Candelas. If you look at pictures of him smoking cigars, of course, they're black and white, so you probably can't tell. But he was really big on Candela cigars.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Most likely from Cuba. And once they ran out of Candelas.
You know the irony in that?
What's that?
He's the one that put the ban in place.
Yeah, that is the definition of irony.
Mm-hmm.
He also made his staff run around and track down as many Cuban cigars as he could before he put the ban in place.
That's true.
Yeah, wild stuff, wild stuff. One of the things I saw that was interesting as I was doing the research is the actual creation of the Candela leaf. The manufacturers love this, or I should say farmers. Farmers love the Candela leaf because it is so simple and so quick to make, because of course when you harvest your tobacco, it's green. But they do this deal where they basically flash it with intense heat. They shut the barn down and they hit it with like first 90-degree heat, then 120, then 165, to the point where the leaf is consistency of, I believe they said like it was brittle like a potato chip, and then they put it in hydrate it. And, it keeps, the chlorophyll, which is what creates the green, stays with the Candela. And it's a faster process than aging the tobacco.
Yeah. It's kind of like when you blanch green vegetables and then shock them in ice water. Kind of same concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they can turn more leaves through the process at a faster speed. So more.
Yeah, because there's no need
more
to
product,
age it.
more profit. Okay, that makes sense.
Exactly. Now, when the late 70s and 80s rolled along, the Connecticut leaf started becoming popular, and the Candela kind of faded in popularity a little bit. But then it got a resurgence around the late 90s, 2000s, and you noticed that, a lot of cigar manufacturers who were specifically into hand rolling cigars versus machine making cigars were getting into the game, such as, Lugiones, the Fuentes, and such.
Well, yeah, and I think, it's a different experience. As we said earlier, you get the tobacco flavors in the various different regions because they do taste different depending on where they come from. And this one, the Claro leaf or the Candela leaf, it's a unique, more floral note than I suppose one would be used to when they're smoking a traditional Maduro or natural cigar.
Right, and this is from the DR, so a difference between a Candela leaf from the DR or from Nicaragua. You get some differences in flavor, but the great thing about the Candela leaf is it can be grown anywhere.
Yeah.
Not, you can grow it in Cuba, you can grow it in the Dominican Republic, you can grow it in Nicaragua. Yeah, it's just very, the creation of it is very versatile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if the industry realized in the early 2000s that there was a potential for the Candela taking off again, because when you first started seeing them come back, I'd say 98, 99, maybe.
You're
2000s.
talking before I started smoking, so you're on your own.
Yeah, early, maybe even as late as the early 2000s, you'd start seeing some Candela stuff come in, and it almost felt like it was kind of a marketing ploy, kind of an advertising deal to go, hey, look at the green cigar. And the thing I like about the Candelas is it's a rich enough smoke where you feel like you're smoking a cigar. And I know that might not make sense to some people, but there's some stuff that I've tried that is so light that it just there's just not the cigar flavor there that I'm looking for. It just needs something. But what I like about the Candelas is if you're having a meal, especially if you're barbecuing, you're cooking out. This is a great cigar, any of the Candela lines that I've smoked, because it's enough of a cigar for you to know you're smoking a cigar.
Right.
But it's not so heavy, it's not overpowering, it doesn't wipe out what you're eating or drinking.
But that's the big thing with Candelas and Connecticut's, because the Connecticut usurped the Candela as the popular American cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the biggest thing, and that's the plus on the Candela, is that it's a very mellow. Some people have personified it as a creamy smoke.
I get that. And that's one of the things that I like about Connecticut is the creaminess, and this certainly has it. It has the only undertone to it, as I said earlier. And you have to, my opinion, don't take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a teaspoon or a tablespoon of salt, because they're not my favorite. But I'm trying to smoke it and give you a fair and honest opinion. But the only difference is I get that buttery and creamy, but it's very floral. So, if you guys have ever, not that any of you have done this, but one of my exes was a tea drinker, and it was always loose leaf. It was never Lipton bags. And, you'd open that tin and you get that wonderful aroma coming off the tea. Well, that's what you get with these. The smoke, literally, it smells like smoked tea. It's really kind of pleasant.
Well, my first experience with a Candela was in the late 90s, and more than likely, I can't remember the brand, but I'm pretty freaking sure it was a machine-rolled Candela. It was a little rough. It was that description as you had described grass. Mm-hmm. I mean, literally, it was...
Fresh-cut lawn.
It was, fresh-cut lawn. It was slightly harsh. There was one particular one I was experimenting with a few Candelas, and like I said, I'm not naming names because this isn't necessarily positive, but I felt as if, and I think you described it because on your recommendation to smoke this cigar, you said you got to get through the first third.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your warning sign when someone tells you you got to get through like the first third of it, and then it really brings it out. That makes me nervous when folks say that, but it's a fun experiment, so I did it anyway. And started smoking it, got through the first third, and it was kind of a kind of thing. I'm not really, overwhelmed with it. I don't have any really feeling for it. I'm just smoking a cigar. But then I felt a harshness with the Candela to the point where there was a slight burn in my throat. It was just a harshness to it that just wasn't great. It was one of those where it's like, well, and it came from some folks who I really dig their cigars, but this is not one of the cigars I would go to again.
Well, and you know, it because I think let me caveat this first. Not being an expert in Candela, I think because the fermentation process doesn't really happen, that we may not be getting all of the acidic and the ammoniated notes that you would not expect to see. They may not go away. So that's why it might be a little bit harsher. But I mean, not being an expert, that's one where, you know, when we get to have one of the manufacturers grace the chair that's non-existent opposite Scott, that produces a Candela, it would be good to talk to them about that.
Yeah, I could go with that. I would also question, would aging have a factor? So once you get a Candela or two, or even say a box, to let it age for a little bit to see if that would kind of, this one in particular that I'm speaking of, you know, let it sit for a while, 6 months to a year, to see if it mellows out.
Yeah, that levels out that flavor a little bit. Yeah.
You know what else I tend to notice too? When I just got it resting here and you got that little whiff coming off of it as it burns, it's a little bit of a campfire reminiscence too. It's not the strong campfire heavy smoke that you expect, but you know, when the fire's smoldering at the end of the night or in the morning, that little whiff periodically.
But see, there you go. As we talked previously, you're a hunter and a camper, and I'm not even making jokes right now. You're a hunter and camper. You went to what relates to you as far as taste and flavor. Everyone's going to do that differently. So you basically fit that aroma into what's relative
your perception.
To you. Yeah, your perception and what's relative to you.
Yeah.
Hunters and campers, that's the cigar for you.
Seriously, yeah.
Could be.
I'd be curious to speak to another hunter to see, you know, what they think about it. And I'm not even making jokes here. I'm absolutely serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's relatable to your own personal experiences for sure.
But, you know, as far as Candelas, I'd be willing to give more a try. I mean, I know the Illusione line, I really like Dion's stuff, and his Candela is, you know, you were talking about a sweetness.
Yeah.
That's Dion's.
Yes.
They have a nice sweet undertone to them.
Absolutely.
You know, the barber pole that Larry's got, you know, one of my enjoyments on that one is I'm not a Maduro smoker normally. I prefer a medium to full in that range without going into the heavy Maduro. But the Candela wrapper wrapped around that San Andreas Maduro tobacco really mellows it out and brings it down, and it just makes such a great flavor combination.
Yeah, and I would venture to say with the San Andreas Maduro, I would almost personify that as a medium and not a full body.
No, absolutely.
You know, which is a very good thing. Sometimes I like a good old fashioned Maduro, like LFD, something strong with some punch to it, strong like Russian Bear. But the Mexican San Andreas, you know, you get the Maduro flavor without the serious. I mean, you know, just the punch.
Yeah, you can smoke that without making sure you've had a full meal first.
Absolutely.
I was unaware until doing just a little bit of research that Camacho has a Candela. I had never seen a Camacho Candela.
That's one I want to try.
Absolutely, because I am a fan of the Camacho line, and I don't see any way that Candela wouldn't be good. Just don't see any way at all.
No, I hear that.
So, you know, Camacho, if you're listening, bring some Candelas up to Colorado next month, please.
Speaking of which, we're getting closer and closer to that.
Closer and closer. It's coming.
Absolutely.
Yep, be here before we know it.
Yep, and I encourage folks who are listening to the podcast right now to seek us out, because Larry, Greg, and I will be there having a good time. Come over, talk to us. We'd love to hear from you, hear what you think about the show and such.
Yeah.
Topics, show ideas, you know, cigars you want us to try on the show. I mean, hey, you name it. We're open to just about anything.
Oh, yeah. if you can come up with different and amusing ways to abuse Greg, hey, we're open to that too.
No, we're not.
I had to get that one in, Greg.
But realistically,
Like a Three Stooges birthday.
But the truth of the matter is, Larry's correct, and so is Scott. Scott begs at the end of every episode. We want to hear from you. Drop us an email, get a hold of us on social media. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We do this as much fun as we have doing it. We also do it for you guys. So we'd like to get more into what you guys want to talk about.
Without a doubt.
So what else we got going on today?
Well, I do believe there was a notice about story time with Uncle Larry.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Oh, yeah.
So, along those lines, I was thinking about that here over this last weekend when we took a trip. I grew up in a smaller beach community in Southern California. And when I say that, I'm not talking Mayberry small, but it was considerably smaller, more close-knit than it is today. And it's, It wasn't Jersey Shore or anything like that.
Kind of like Oxnard, Port Hueneme.
Yeah, it was just, it was North Coast, San Diego County. It was just a small, little, quiet beachside community. Kind of a neighborhood policing kind of deal.
Yeah.
So we moved down there this summer between my second and third grade year. My pops owned a couple of businesses in town. He was kind of a colorful individual. So, fairly well known in the community. And as a kid, doing stuff kids do, in a smaller community, there's a certain number of policemen. And you figure out, who those individuals are.
Sure.
And because of our proximity of where we lived to where my pop's businesses were, you pretty much saw the same cops, relatively, to what you were doing. So when we could get in trouble for jumping off the train trestle into the lagoon, which you weren't supposed to do, but was kind of a rite of passage, and where I grew up, every once in a while a cop would come out. Hey, you guys aren't supposed to be doing that. When we got in trouble for digging up and building a dirt BMX bike ramp next to the railroad tracks so that we could jump our bikes over the railroad tracks, we got in trouble for that too. Same cop. Same cop busted me when I rode my lawnmower engine mini bike up to the gas station to fill it up with gas because I couldn't find our gas can. Same cop. So, same cop would get you after curfew if you were down at the beach, And so this would just progress as you got older to, the different, goofier shit that you would do as a kid. So one of the best things I can remember, this guy's name was Collins. And to this day, I don't know his first name, but he was a cop in my town for as long as I could remember. And my pops had an interesting way of doing things. He wasn't planning on having a teenager at his point in his life. And so there were certain things that I had going on that he didn't have time for. And if it wasn't school or a school-related event, you were working. I was working. Oh, yeah. So I figured out pretty quick that I needed to do as much extracurricular school activities as I could so I didn't have to be at the shop all the time, right?
Right.
So summer between my freshman and sophomore year, summer, training, football, spring ball. One day I'm like, hey, Pop, man, I got to go. You got to give me a ride. We got practice. I ain't got time for that shit. Take the car. What? Now, mind you, I could drive, just not legally. I am 14 years old. I ain't even close to having even a permit, right? And I preface this by saying that my pop would drive damn near anything. This is a man who grew up through the Depression, so he didn't give two shits about stuff like that. And at the time, he had a 1978 Monte Carlo, two-door Landau vinyl top that was powder blue.
A land yacht.
Yeah. Powder blue, okay? This thing stood out like a sore thumb. So my happy 14-year-old ass jumps in the Monte Carlo, drive across town, go to football practice. Driving back, I got a buddy of mine with me because I'm a 14-year-old genius, and I'm going to drop him off at his house, which is like way a different direction from where I need to be going to get back to the shop, right? Well, apparently I rolled a stop sign. I get pulled over by guess who? Collins, the cop. What are you doing? So we go through the whole thing. You're not supposed to be driving. Drive this car straight back to your father's shop. Yes, sir. So I show up, and he gave my buddy the choice. He says, is it closer for you to walk from here to your house or from his dad's shop to your house? Probably here. He goes, you better get out then, son. So my buddy gets his bag, gets out. There we go. So, and the plan was I was supposed to be going over to this dude's house after football. Well, I show up at the shop. My dad's like, what are you doing here? Yeah, I rolled a stop sign on Pio Pico. He goes, really? I'm all, yeah, Colin's going to be by to talk to you later. My dad just, and now my dad all like irritated and shit, you know? I'm all, okay. So I go about doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? Sure enough, about a half hour later, cop shows up, talks to my dad. You know, then I get my ass chewed. I didn't want to be doing this in the first place. You could have just dropped me off at football practice, saved us a whole problem, right? Fast forward exactly 1 week. Tuesday of the next week, same shit happens. Hey, Pop, man, I got to go to football. Hey, in a minute. Whoa, man, we're getting close. Just take the car. All right. So I throw my bag in the front seat, jump into Monte Carlo, go down State Street, hang a left on Elm, which is the main drag east and west in our town.
Gotcha.
And it ain't even called Elm Avenue anymore because the town I grew up in is now so bougie and pretentious, they had to change the street name to Carlsbad Village Drive. So I'm going up Elm Avenue. I'm in two lanes, both directions. I'm in the inside left lane. And I'm going up, and I see the cop car coming the other direction. And I'm like, oh, God, please no, please no. I look over. It's Collins. He sees me because I'm in this powder blue Monte Carlo, right? And the look on his face is just like, are you fucking kidding me? So I just put my turn signal on. I move over to the right lane. I pull in the Bank America parking lot, shift the Monte Carlo into park, turn the key off, and that's the last thing I remember is an arm coming in the driver's window, grabbing me by the collar and jerked my ass out of that Monte Carlo through the window. Left the keys in the car, my football bags in the front seat. He tosses me like a rag doll into the back seat of his cruiser, drives down, it's like 16 blocks to my pop's shop, parks sideways in the front of the place and gets out. I can hear him, Jack, how many times do I have to have this conversation? You cannot let that goddamn kid drive that car. Then they talk for a minute, and then out they both come, and he opens the back door, and I get out, and my pops is pissed at me, you know? Like, what? You got to be kidding me, man. I might as well be driving an ice cream truck with the fucking music on. How in the hell am I not supposed to get caught? There's 7 cops in this town. What do you want from me? And it just progressed worse and worse, you know, from there. You know, it was always something. You know, you'd see that guy, he'd be working Friday night at the football game, you know. How you doing? How you doing, Officer Collins? You know, he was the one that busted us when we were water ballooning the float meetings for high school. You know, you just do homecoming floats and used to do that shit. And you'd be building the floats. Each class would be in some kid in that class's backyard or side yard or whatever. And we'd all get, you know, all the classes would go, you know, water balloon each other, shaving cream, all that stuff. Well, we got caught at Collins. And it's like, damn, man, what shift do you work? Because
every day, all day.
Yeah, you know, because, I mean, I got busted, you know, by you at 2 o'clock in the morning. I got busted you 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When the hell do you get a day off? And then because it was such a small town, such a small community in the area, I'd see, dude, on the weekends, because I worked at a gas station that my dad's buddy owned in North Hill Street in Oceanside. And I'm so old, you still had to go out and like key the pump, turn it back, right? You collected money and there was a cash register out on the, it's Saturday morning, man. This truck pulls in, pulling a fishing boat, coming on his way to the harbor, I'm sure, to launch his boat. Who gets out of the damn truck? Collins the cop. I'm like, how you doing, officer? Fill her up, But yeah, it was just stuff like that, man. Small town living. My buddy and I were riding dirt bikes one Saturday. It was a Saturday after 4th of July. We're out in the fields by his house riding dirt bikes. We find a dog. Dog's scared out of its mind, dirty, matted hound dog. So we scoop this thing up, take it back to my friend's house. They're like, oh, no. His mom's like, she's allergic. You're not bringing that dog in here. Okay, so we load it up. We go down to my dad's shop, and I go down to the corner market, and we get 2 cans of dog food, and we're going to wash this dog and do all this shit. And my old man comes out, and he goes, the hell are you doing? I'm, oh, man, we found this dog, man, out, he goes, you know whose dog that is, don't you? I'm like, no, because we're getting ready to go over to the copy store and find out how much it's going to, because this is pre-internet, and no internet, none of that bullshit like now, So we were going to go see how much it was going to be to make some copies to put stuff up that we found a dog, right? Because this is obviously somebody's dog. He goes, well, you know whose goddamn dog
it is. It can't be.
It's a cop. Colin's a cop. It's his dog. Son of a bitch got out on 4th of July, got freaked out about the fireworks. So this is like day 4 that this dog's been missing, right? And now the first thing I could think is this son of a bitch is going to think we stole this dog, But, so naturally, and this is when I knew my pop had some pull, right? And this is before they're getting busted in the Monte Carlo. I was probably in the 7th grade when we found the dog. And this is when I knew my pop had some pull, right? Because he goes in, and no cell phones back then. He goes in, he's got the rotary dial phone on his desk, and he dials this son of a bitch's phone number from memory. I'm like, Now that I'm in my 50s, I realize it's probably because his kid was such a jackass and was in trouble all the time that he talked to the cop quite a bit. This is why he knew he had his phone number. But, in retrospect, as a kid, I'm thinking, Dad's somebody. No, the reason Pops is somebody is because his kid is like a derelict and, always in trouble. But so that's it's kind of all over the place, but that's what it's like growing up in a small town, man.
No, I got you.
It's just the same cop, every damn thing you do. We'd have to go out of town to get in trouble so we could get busted by different policemen. That was kind of cool. Go to Harbor Beach, and have a bonfire on the beach, after curfew, which was 10 o'clock back then. We get hauled in. Harbor Patrol shows up, round up a bunch of us. There was 5 boys and 8 girls. They take the 8 girls down to the payphone. For you youngsters, that was a phone that you put money in. You could call home. They let all 8 girls call home for a ride. The 5 boys, they took us to Juvenile Hall, downtown San Diego. We had to call home from there.
Oh, man.
And my pops was the last one to show up, man. All 4 of my buddies already done, signed out, gone home. My pops comes walking down, talks to the desk sergeant. I'm in that little holding cell thing. And you could tell my dad was not happy, man. Not happy at all. Had his Florsham brogues on, and I don't even think he had them tied. I think he had the laces tucked in. He was not happy. He looks at me, looks at the desk sergeant, and says, how long can you keep him? I'm like, what? Guy kind of has a puzzled look on his face for a second. He goes, well, we can hold him 72 hours, Mr. Marlott. My dad says, see you Monday. Son of a bitch left me in Juvenile Hall. Ooh. I didn't even have no buddies to talk to and shit, man. I'm just sitting there. You think that would have helped.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
Swing low. See, now, it was, it was, but all in all, it was a fun experience, had a good time, I don't know what Collins the cop's doing today. I mean, shit, he's old man, he may not even still be around, but he was a solid dude. You know, he could have definitely slammed our what's in the door more than a few times.
Oh yeah.
You know, bust us for jumping off the trestle. He was the one that he was the first responder. You know, that's the proper term now. He was the first responder to the scene when my buddy Brian and I, as kids, everybody took cardboard and slid down the hill, the grass hill behind that pizza place in Carlsbad, which just closed down earlier this year into last year. Didn't make it through COVID. That was the thing, man. You got a big piece of cardboard, refrigerator box, something like that, and you slid down this big old hill. So my buddy Brian, man, we were always thinkers, boy. We had plans. We decided that cardboard wasn't good enough for us. We were going to get one of them plastic kiddie wading pools. So we stole his little brother's kiddie wading pool and went down the hill. Let me be the first to tell you that a plastic kiddie wading pool goes considerably faster with two fat kids in it than a cardboard box. Okay? Now, factor the speed to distance. We went damn near clear across that back parking lot and almost hit the back of the building. Okay?
Oh man, that's not good.
On asphalt.
Was there anything left at the bottom of the kiddie pool when you were done?
It was a little thinner than when we started, let's put it that way. Oof. But the one that got us is when we came off the grass, the curb, and then the parking bumper. And both of us, man, square busted our ass on that parking bumper. And that didn't stop us. So we hit the parking bumper out on the asphalt, sliding in and finally come to a stop. It was like a standing ovation, but we were afraid to get up. Well, somebody that was out the back of the laundromat or whatever else was in that building, they figured we were dead. So they called 911 and a fire truck, and, everybody, showed up. And we're scuffed up, skinned up, but that was being a kid,
Yeah.
And cops show up. Collins.
Of course.
And he's got this look on his face like, this son of a bitch, can't this kid go a week without me seeing him? Like, no, apparently not. So, I mean, at this point, I should at least buy this man a beer if he's still in town. But, So, there you go. That's life of Larry in a nutshell right there.
That's one of the best, Larry.
I love it.
Well, Larry, how's that barber pole treating you?
Well, I've been running my mouth so much, I went out. I got to relight it here.
Ah.
And I'm going to try to do that without burning a hole in my shirt, but,
We've all done it.
Some of us more than once.
Mm-hmm. I did 3 times in one go.
Well, that's why you guys dress typically way nicer than I do. I'm shaped like a pear, so I wear a lot of
and I'm not.
I wear a lot of T-shirts and either Levi's or shorts because I got my own gig, and I know the HR director, and he's kind of a prick too, so he lets me do whatever I want. Mm-hmm. That was me, for those of you that
don't know.
Sure, but no, man, I love these barber poles. Again, I'm an Oscar guy. I like his line of cigars. I don't think I've found anything of Oscar's that I don't like. Now, there's some that are a little more go-to for me than others, but yeah, this is definitely in the rotation for sure. I do probably one of these a week, at least, and I'm really happy with this cigar for sure.
Yeah, I would call that a treat. I probably do one every 2 weeks or so, but when I do, I consider it a treat. As far as the Fuente, the 858 anniversary, great cigar. I'm enjoying it. It's consistent. It's smooth. I'm not getting the harshness on my throat. I wouldn't call it creaminess. It's still and like I say, lack of a better word, a toast. It's just very light, nice light, toasty flavor.
Yeah, I like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't care for Candelas. This one could change my mind a little bit. If I could find this fairly regularly, it would probably go into my rotation periodically because it's a good solid stick. It's not harsh. It's got good flavoring. It doesn't remind me of freshly cut lawn, so it's something that I would definitely do again.
But see, that right there, that's the secret. When you see the Candela, the first thing you think of is grass, leaves, and
Because it's funny looking, man. It's different than everything
yeah.
else in a humidor.
For sure.
When you go in and look at, whoa, green cigar.
And then, a lot of people who have been around and have smoked for 20 plus years remember the old Candelas. They were of the grassy flavor variety.
Yeah,
So-
the originals back in the day were rough, man.
Well, yeah, they were machine made, and you didn't get the handcrafted care that you get now that the big guys are in the game.
Yeah, I think that is the truth. And it just goes to show, with, as we've preached on this show many, many times, is get out your comfort zone and try something different.
Yeah, for sure.
No doubt.
Because I can tell you, there's a lot of cigars, even here at the Humidor and Tobacco Republic, that I'm like, I don't think I'm going to like this, but I still have to try it. And I have found some real good gems by just going, I may not like this, but let's give it a go.
Yeah, and what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not in your wheelhouse, and you put it down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. We've all run across things in everyday life that it doesn't have to just be cigars. That, hey, that's not for me. You know,
I'll preach it a million times. Cigar smoking is not just about the taste of the cigar. It's the experience of being with a community, smoking with a friend or a group of friends, and just bouncing ideas off each other on whatever, be it the flavor of the smoke or what's going on with your day. So there's nothing wrong with getting out of your comfort zone and, talking about it. Mm-hmm. It's something I really dig doing, and I know you guys do as well as folks out there.
Yeah. And hey, if we hope that this show inspires you guys to try a Candela. So do me a favor. If you do decide to try that Candela, head down to your local Brick and Mortar, give them some support instead of buying it online.
Yeah, and then, hey, reach out to us. Tell us what you tried. Tell us what you thought of it.
Yep.
No doubt.
As we're talking about these things, we would love to hear what you guys think. If you've seen either this Fuente in your local Brick and Mortar, or you've seen the 2012 Barber Pole, or anything else that we've talked about. Maybe your store has the Camacho Candela. Try one. Get a hold of us. Tell us, hey, this was that. It was good. It was not. It was, we want your opinion on this stuff as well, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to trying this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've never had one of these Fuente Candelas either. And just from what you guys have said, man, I can't wait to fire this up. I can't think of a time I've had two Candelas in the same day, but today might be it.
Okay. Yeah. The God honest truth, Dion is not paying us, and he's not paying me, but I'm going to say
no,
this.
He's not.
But if you get the opportunity and you come across an Illusion in Candela, treat yourself, because I'm telling you, as far as Candelas go, Illusion, it's the bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had that. I haven't had that one either, and I definitely want to.
Yeah. Sounds like a trip to Reno in our future.
Oh, always.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Wrong one, but go with it.
That's okay. Looks like my smoke's to the nub and the scotch glass is empty, and Greg hit the wrong outro, but that's okay. It's about that time. So I want to thank our audience out there, and on behalf of Greg, our producer, and Larry, hey, thank you for listening. Check us out at LumaCigarCartel.com and like and share us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, and don't be a stranger. Drop us a line and let us know you guys are out there. I'm Scott Robinson, and from all of us here at Beyond the Humidor, we look forward to chatting with you on the next episode. Until then, take care, stay healthy and safe, and good smoke, good drink, and good life. Oh, by the way, we've got an opening for a producer, so, hit me up on LumaCigarCartel.com.
Thanks, Scott.
We love you, Greg.
But I'm pumped.